been having problems with it. They're gonna switch us to a different restream platform, so I'll let you know when we do that.
Okay.
But I think you're good.
Michael, we ready? Michael. Are we ready? Have your attention, please. I'd like to welcome you to the December 14th, 2023 public hearing of the Jefferson County Planning and Zoning Commission. The Planning and Zoning Commission is charged with regulating the subdivision of properties in the unincorporated areas of Jefferson County. You'll be given a decision of the commissions today. You'll be given a decision of the commission today regarding the subdivision request, and the plat representative will receive the decision within writing in 10 business days. Please note that any subdivision approved today is not complete. In order to complete the subdivision of your property, a final plat must be recorded in the office of the probate judge. County staff will be coordinating with the surveyors of today and approve preliminary plats to prepare the approving for plat recording. The Planning and Zoning Commission is also charged with evaluating requests for rezoning of property and advising the County Commission for their final determination. All decisions made by the Planning and Zoning Commission regarding zoning cases are advisory only, and the final determination of the zoning will be made by the Jefferson County Commission in a subsequent public hearing for which all property owners within 500 feet will be notified. I ask you to enter by knowledge, please silence any electronic devices you have as not to disturb the meeting. And will the clerk please call the roll?
Joseph Andrews. Present. Dr. Brenda Jefferson.
Present.
Christian Forsythe. Present. Patrick Gilbert.
Present.
Jay Miller.
Present.
Kenneth Cook.
Here.
George McCoy O'Neill.
Here.
Michael M. Sigler.
Here.
Mr. Chairman, we have a quorum.
Thank you, sir. I'd like to have a motion regarding the reading of the minutes from the November 9, 2023 public hearing, please.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion regarding reading the minutes from the November meeting.
Second.
I have a recommendation, a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. First, we will hear the subdivision cases. The staff will present the cases to the board. We will then call for opposition. The applicant and/or their representative may be asked to come forward to the podium and answer any questions. Mr. Brown, Mr. Martin, will you please present the cases, please? I'm sorry, the first case is S23-0074. The applicant is Kurt McFarland regarding property in the Busper area.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, this is a proposed subdivision to split 1 acreage tract into 2 lots of record residential use. It's right here on Hidden Hollow Trail. This is a private road. Both lots do have road frontage. They do comply with our zoning requirements for A1 zoning. There's no anticipated road access or traffic operation issues. No right-of-way dedication will be required because it's a private road. There is no floodplain and no sewer available, so the Jefferson County Department of Health will have to approve any on-site septic system. Staff recommends approval for this subdivision.
Thank you, sir. Is there any opposition to this case? Is the applicant present? Would you like to add anything to the presentation? I'll then call for a motion for S23-0074.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion for approval of S23-0074. Second.
I have a motion, a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Our second case is S23-0075. The applicant is Dawson Reynolds regarding property in the Mount Olive area, Mount Olive community.
Yes, sir. This is a proposed resurvey to split 1 lot of record into 2 lots for residential use. This was a recently approved subdivision of 2021, December 9th, 2021, the Calvary Worship Center survey. The proposed lots do meet the minimum size requirements for A1 zoning. Prior to signing the final plat, the proper setbacks must be confirmed for the existing buildings to ensure that 15 feet is met of the side setback. That can be handled prior to the signing of the final plat. There's no anticipated road access or traffic operation issues. There's no right-of-way dedication required, no floodplain, and again, no sewer, so the Department of Health will have to approve the on-site septic system. Staff does recommend approval for this subdivision.
Is there any opposition to S 23-0075? Is the applicant present? Dawson Reynolds. Can I get a motion, please?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion for approval of S 23-0075.
Second.
I have a motion, a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Our second subdivision case is S 23-0076. The applicant is Jonathan, I'm going to destroy your name. Woodsdorf? This is in the Pinson community.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, this is a resurvey to split one existing lot of record into two lots of record for residential and agricultural use. This is the Mulva Hill, single-family subdivision that was approved by the Planning and Zoning Commission September 11th, 2008, subsequently recorded. It does, the lots do comply with A1 zoning requirements. There's no additional right-of-way required, no anticipated road access or traffic operation issues, no floodplain, and again, no sewer, so the Department of Health will have to approve the on-site septic system. Staff does recommend approval for this two-lot subdivision.
Thank you, sir. Is there any opposition to S 23-0076? Is the applicant here? Okay, can I get a motion, please?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion for approval of S 23-0076.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Our next case is S 23-0071. The applicant is Wesley Bertoli in the Warrior community.
I have 7-6. Is that,
I'm sorry.
may have a mistake on that.
77.
Excuse me, 77, yes. This is a proposed subdivision to resurvey. Excuse me, got the wrong one here. Is to split one acreage tract into 4 lots of record for residential and agricultural use. Lots 1 and 2 do have road frontage, and 2 and 3 have road frontage. Lot 1 and 4 will have easements there on Kathy Lane. All the lots do comply with our A1 zoning requirements. There's no anticipated road access or traffic operation issues. Right-of-way dedication will be required for Kathy Lane, where adjacent to the property, 25 foot from center line. There's no floodplain on this property, and again, no sewer available, so the on-site septic system will have to be approved by the Department of Health. Staff does recommend approval for this 4-lot subdivision.
Let me clarify, this is S 23-0077. The applicant is LaShonda Baldwin. This is in the Fultondale community. Is there any opposition to this case? Is the applicant here? Do you wish to add anything to the presentation? Can I have a motion, please?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion for approval of S 23-0077.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Our next case is S 23-0078. The applicant is Arnold's Chapel Methodist Church. This is the Bluff Ridge Road, Bessemer community.
Yes, sir, this is a proposed subdivision. The purpose is to resurvey 3 acreage tracts, 1 owner, into 2 lots of record for institutional and residential use. Currently, this is all institutional zoning. There's a church here on this property with a parsonage on site, and this request is to separate that parsonage into 1 lot for residential use. Knowing that it's going to be used for a residence and not institutional use, it will need to be rezoned to an agricultural or residential zoning designation before any permits are given on the Lot 1. There's no anticipated road access or traffic operation issues. Right-of-way dedication, 30 foot from center line will be required for the Bluff Ridge Road where adjacent to the property. No floodplain and no sewer on this, so the Department of Health will have to approve the on-site septic system. Staff does recommend approval for the subdivision.
Is there any opposition to S 23-0078? Does anybody represent Arnold Chapel Methodist Church present? Do you wish to add anything to the presentation? I need you to come to the podium, please, sir. Your name and address, please.
Stephen Mabius. It's 4950 Bob Brill Road. The church, the parsonage is 8100 Bluff Ridge Road.
Yes, sir.
All right. Did he say needed to have the septic tank approved, or there's already one on there?
If there was any changes to that system,
Okay.
basically just stating that the health department is
Okay.
jurisdiction for that.
All right. So, and we were wanting to, I think, going for the R1, and have, I guess we need to get a variance for the lot size. Okay. Okay.
Can I have a motion for S 23-0078?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion for approval of S 23-0078.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Our next subdivision case is S 23-0080. The applicant is Demetrius Jackson. This is in the Lindsay Loop Road of Bessemer.
Yes, sir, this is a proposed subdivision. It's to resurvey an existing acreage tract into one lot of record. This property was improperly split from several other properties a number of years ago, and so this is to bring this piece of land into compliance with our subdivision regulations. Therefore, it's a one-lot subdivision. It does comply with our A1 zoning requirements. There's no anticipated road access or traffic operation issues. Right-of-way dedication will be required on Lindsay Loop Road, where adjacent to the property. It'll be 25 foot from center line. There is a flood zone on this. It's a zone AE, which means it is studied floodplain. So any future development on this lot would require a floodplain development permit during the permitting process for any home or other development types. There's no sewer available, so the Department of Health will have to approve the on-site septic system. Staff does recommend approval for this one-lot subdivision.
Is there any opposition to S 23-0080? Is the applicant here? Yes. Could you come forward, please, sir? You state your name and address, please. You're Mr. Jackson?
Demetrius Jackson, 3701 Viola Avenue Southwest.
Okay. One question. You heard him talk about the floodplain. You're aware of that situation?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Have you got anything you'd like to add to the presentation?
No, sir, we just keeping horses on it.
Can I have a motion, please?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion for approval of S 23-0080.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Martin. Next, we will hear the zoning cases. The staff will present the cases to the board. We will then call for opposition. The applicant and/or the representative may be asked to come forward to the podium and answer any questions. Each side will have a maximum of 15 minutes. Planning Commission only makes recommendations in zoning cases. The Jefferson County Commission will make the final decision. Let me clarify the time limit on this. It's 15 minutes total for the applicant and the opposition. If you have more than one person in your group, I would suggest you have a spokesperson that gives out all the opposition that you'll have. We're not limiting anybody from speaking, but we don't want to be repetitive on everything. So it's a 15 minutes total, and we do stick to that. So just keep that in mind. Our first case, new zoning case, is Z 23-0030. The applicant is Connor Farmer. This is on Lou George Loop Road in Bessemer. Mr. Brown.
Yes, sir. As you mentioned, this is a rezoning request from A1 Agricultural to RG Garden Home District or Single Family District. The applicant is proposing 107 unit residential subdivision. The county, future land use plan identifies this property for G2 and P3, which is controlled growth sector and suburban zone, which simply means the property is not permitted by right. It's only permitted as warranted by finding of facts. This is an aerial of the site, which shows you that the site, for the most part, is vacant and undeveloped, with the exception of an Alabama Power transmission line that runs through the center of the site. You also approved 2 other developments in this area. To the west was Z 2005-38, and to the east was Z 230029. The existing land use map, Mr. Chairman, shows you that the property, again, is vacant and undeveloped. However, there are streams and tributaries throughout the site leading from Bob George Branch. However, the site is not within a FEMA-designated floodplain area. The zoning map, county zoning map, shows you that this property is presently zoned A1. Those 2 previous residential developments that we talked about that you approved previously, Z 2005-38, you approved 195 units to the west on 58 acres, and to the east, you approved KZ 2329, which was 112 units on 46 acres. Now, that amounts to, in density, for Z 2005-38, 3.8 dwelling units per acre, and for Z 2329, 2.4 dwelling units per acre. For the current case before you today that you're considering, Z 2330, the proposed density is 2.27 dwelling units per acre, which is less than the 2 previous cases that you approved. This is the applicant's conceptual site development plan. And essentially, it shows you that there's access proposed from Lou George Leap Road. The lot sizes that are proposed are 7,500, minimum of 7,500 square feet. 107 off-street parking spaces would be required for this development. The applicant is proposing 33% of the site that would be devoted to green space. There's a cemetery to the northeast of this site, and the only thing to know about that is that it is excluded from the applicant's development proposal. So it will remain, although it's shown on the conceptual site plan. And lastly, as I already mentioned, there are a menagerie of streams and tributaries, again, throughout the site that lead from Bob George Branch. Excuse me. Okay, so this is a letter from the Neighborhood Association, the HOA, and they detail 8 items of concern. And I'll just go through these very quickly. 1, that this proposed development would lower property values of the surrounding homes. 2, the school systems cannot handle the additional students. 3, Lou George Loop Road needs widening and improving to handle extra traffic. 4, Timberleaf subdivision just across the development just added 90 units. And they say renters typically don't keep up the property, and they add litter to the roadside. Number 5, the water system is constantly in a state of repair and cannot handle the additional homes. Number 6, internet communication will be compromised, slower speeds without upgrades from AT&T or Spectrum. And number 7, the western entrance of Lou George Loop has hills and curbs obstructing the view as to make travel unsafe. And lastly, number 8, most living in the area move there for a quiet and peaceful place to live. So, Mr. Chairman, staff is recommending the following based upon these findings of fact. A residential subdivision is permitted in the RG zone district. The applicant development proposal has a density of 2.27 dwelling units per acre, which is less than the surrounding residential subdivision previously approved by this body. The subject property is within the Shades Creek watershed area. However, the development proposal is not in the FEMA designated floodplain area. The proposed use, as mentioned, is permitted as warranted and not permitted as a right within the G2, P3 county comp plan land use designations. However, staff is recommending approval contingent upon the following. 1, that garages must be set back a minimum of 25 feet from the back of sidewalk or back of curb if no sidewalk is provided. And 2, density shall be limited to 2.4 dwelling units per acre. 3, buffer the existing active tributaries and or streams on site leading to Bob George Branch. The standard rule of thumb is 25 feet from the center of the stream on both sides. Number 4, install a 25-foot buffer to mitigate the effects of difference in densities between the RG and A1 zones. And Mr. Chairman, that's all I have.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Gill, I'll remind you, there's 15 minutes for opposition, and 15 minutes for rebuttal for the applicant. Do we have any opposition? Okay. Could I have a spokesperson start? Yes, sir. I'm going to start. Your name and address, please, sir.
Phil Turquette, 7536 Lupre Drive, McCalla, Alabama, 35111. My lovely assistant is passing out handouts that I'll use during my presentation, and now I'm going to put up my map for you, too. One other thing before I get started that I hope I don't get docked for my time. The case he mentioned dealing with dwelling units per acre, the one that's Z230029 was approved by this committee but denied by the county commission for many of the reasons that I'll be talking to y'all today. Just wanted to make sure you understand that the density of that lot should not be listed there. It actually is 1 per acre, not 2.4 per acre. Part of my comment. First of all, I'd like to say thank you for the opportunity to appear before you today. I'm here to speak in opposition to this case, and I have many, many reasons for doing that. But what I decided to do, which is why you have the handout in front of you, I'm going to limit, because of time constraints, my points to that which is in the purpose that's taken right out of the Jefferson County zoning resolution. I believe that this particular case is contrary to and in opposition to those purposes. Before I begin my presentation, I'd like to tell you that the current zoning of the property, A1, does allow construction of homes. It allows 47. They're seeking to put 107 on it. They're doubling the size of the homes, and they're reducing the size of the lot from 43,560 square feet to 7,500, which is a reduction of almost 80%. And we had a meeting on November 21st at the Holiday Inn Express where the developers came and explained the reason they're doing that is to make it economically feasible for the development. Now, I'm pretty knowledgeable in a lot of zoning issues and a lot of zoning ordinances, especially the one in Birmingham. And I went back and reread most of the Jefferson County zoning resolution, and I could not find anywhere in there that it lists as a justification for a rezoning economic feasibility of a lot. Now, I've given you a handout that I'll ask you to refer to during my presentation. It is taken, as I said, directly from the Jefferson County zoning resolution, and it is from Article 3, the purpose. And I believe, as I said, that this particular development is contrary to and in direct opposition to the purpose that I will talk about. The part that I've highlighted in yellow states that these regulations are designed to lessen congestion on streets. These 107 proposed houses, I believe, will place between 100 and 200 additional vehicles on Lou George Loop Road almost every day. I think it's fairly easy to see that those vehicles will add, not lessen, congestion on that road. And by congestion, what I'm talking about is you'll see I put a marker down there for 18 feet. That's from that wall to that one. That's the size of Lou George Loop Road. And I've put 9-foot driving lanes. That's what you've got to drive, 9 feet. In case you're wondering, a parallel parking space out here on the street has to be at least 20 feet long and between 8 to 10 feet wide. So the parking spaces out here for parallel parking are wider than most of the streets in the McCalla area. And this particular street is indicative of most of the sizes of the streets in that area, or the roads. That road also, Lou George Loop Road, has no shoulders, as most of the roads out there. So adding congestion to that road, you're adding problems. When the hospital, which is at the end of Lou George Loop, Lou George Loop Road, when it gets completed, that's going to increase the congestion, and I think I don't have to explain to you how or why that's going to happen. But there's no, as I said, no drivable shoulders. If there's a stoppage in the road, whatever reason there is, and you're caught on that road, unless you're driving a motorcycle, you're going to have to sit there and wait, because there's, not only can you cannot seek to go around it by going on the shoulders, but you can't even back up and turn around because there's nowhere to go. There's a lot of drainage ditches beside this road. There's a lot of people's property right off this road. And I can tell you from personal experience, because I live down off of Eastern Valley Road, that once you get off of that paved part, those roads, or those people's properties right up to that, and it's pretty soft sometimes. And I've even seen cars turn over because of that. So that's why I say it's going to create congestion. My next point, we'll use the map that I provided for you. The part on the handout that I've highlighted in orange states that the purpose of the zoning regulation is, 1, to prevent the overcrowding of land, and 2, to avoid undue concentration of population. Looking at the map, you will see there's a fairly new subdivision, Timberleaf, which is directly across the street. That subdivision has about 132 homes, and if I count it correctly, 36 vacant lots. About 1.14 miles north of this development is another subdivision called McCalla Trace. It has 362 homes and about 39 vacant lots, and it's actually expanding. You'll see the right side of that is the blue. It's kind of almost faded out because they're expanding that way. They're going all the way to Pocahontas Road. 2 other subdivisions that were proposed for this area within the past 3 to 6 months are not there. One, which was the larger of the ones, it was withdrawn because it got too much opposition from the people. The other one, the one we talked about earlier, Z230029, that was denied by the county commission. Again, for most of the reasons that I'm telling y'all today, they felt it was not a good fit for the area. I'd also like to make you aware, in the upper left-hand corner, I've given you the 8 other subdivisions that are within a 2.5 mile, maybe a little further out, radius of this property. One in particular is Letson Farms that has a tremendous amount of homes in it. But the others, they have houses, and it adds up to about 1,300. If you extend that radius for one more mile, it's going to include almost double that number of homes. And I'm mentioning that because this is not, I think you would see why it's overcrowding or undue concentration of people. The last 2 items on your sheet are highlighted in pink and green. The pink part states, these regulations are made with reasonable considerations, among other things, of the character of each area and its peculiar suitability for particular uses. The green part that I've highlighted actually adds meaning to the part highlighted in pink by continuing that thought with and saying, and I quote, and a view to promote desirable living conditions and a sustained stability of neighborhoods. These 2 sentences, I think, basically tell you the feeling of the people who live in that area and McCalla as a whole. Most of the people simply want to sustain their neighborhood. Many of these people have lived in that area for a long time. Many grew up in the area, and several have generations upon generations of their families still living out there. And it is a rather close-knit neighborhood. They understand that growth may come to their area, but after the first 2 big subdivisions, as you see on your map, were built, they also began to realize that this growth is changing their way of life. These subdivision changes not only change the landscape of the area, but its character as well. All they're really asking from this commission or committee, and later from the county commission, is that the reasons that you have in front of you, that they be adhered to for this area, and that their sustainability as a neighborhood be respected by this committee and also by the county commission. I'll answer any questions you may have. No questions?
Yay.
Thank you very much. I appreciate your attention. Now, do you want me to take
Please,
the
sir.
map down?
Yes, sir. Is anybody else would like to speak on behalf of this zoning, consider zoning change? And I remind you, there's 5 minutes left. Is the applicant here? Would you address the concerns, please, sir? Or you'll have 15 minutes for rebuttal.
Thank you. My name is Connor Farmer. I'm the owner of High Point Properties. I currently have the subject property, the Holt property, under contract to purchase. Ms. Holt is here, you're here with us today. Mr. Holt's daughter's here with us today. I think, number one, that when we contracted the property, we try to look at how we can come up with the best design that kind of fits the property. If you look at our design, we have a lot of curvature in the roads and cul-de-sacs, and also leaving some green space and buffer areas. The stream there, we're willing to work with the county, obviously, on whatever we need to do to protect the stream, put in buffers. The stream, even after this, it just starts right up here on the southwest corner of the property and goes through and has a couple little tributaries coming into it. But even after this last rain this weekend, we've got pictures of it. It's dry. It's about a 3-foot wide bed and bank with, it's not a full-time year-round stream, but we're obviously willing to do what we need to do to protect that. We realize the concerns of the neighborhood, but the more I thought about this case and the situation, Mr. Burkett brought up, that there's nowhere in the zoning ordinances that say you take economic purposes under consideration when you're zoning a project. Well, the truth is, if we didn't take economic situations under consideration, there'd never be any developed. There'd never be any new homes anywhere. We currently have a development that we're partners in about 3 miles from this property, out George Loop Road here, right on the other side of Pocahontas, that we developed 4 years ago with 1 acre lots in it. We've got a 3-acre pond over there with a common area on it. We did, I think it's 26 or so 1 acre lots there. In 4 years, we've sold 10 lots. Those lots are priced very reasonably. They're priced at $65,000 a lot. You can buy a lot on the lake. Right now, we still have lots available for $65,000 on a lake 3 miles from this property. The reality is we've sold 10 lots in 4 years, and there's just not a market for that. Mr. Burkett said the growth may come. Well, the growth's there. There's the county, approved a 9-story, $400 million hospital that is 2 miles down this road. That hospital is going to employ hundreds of people. Those people need places to live. Those people need, places to live and that are in a close proximity to work. We feel like this project is, right across the street. You've got, I think he said, 132 houses that are the exact same lots. A mile down the road is McCullough Trace with 360 houses, and a lot of the lots in McCullough Trace are smaller than the lots we have here. The builder that we have for this project is Newcastle Homes. May be familiar with them. They're a local home builder based out of Birmingham. Build a quality home. They do not do rentals. We're willing to put whatever we need to put in the zoning case that the whole subdivision will not be rental. Now, we can't help it if somebody sells an individual house and then at some point they later rent it, but this will not be a build-for-rent subdivision, and we're willing to do whatever we need to do to guarantee that. Some of the other things, we understand that, the George Loop Road is kind of tight. We've measured it, and of course, there's a lot of places in the road that are 19 and a half feet, something like that, which is still tight. The shoulders are tight. We feel like, with this development, the one across the street, right now, this property is being paid under current use and taking in a couple of $100 a year in property taxes. With our development here, it would take in, tens of thousands of dollars in property taxes, which will allow for roads to be widened, shoulders to be built, and the roads to be in better condition for the residents that are coming sooner or later out here with the hospital that's there, the shopping center that's right across the other side of the interstate that's hundreds of thousands of square feet. I just feel like we're not the first ones coming out in this area and trying to change this area. This area has already changed with the hospital, the developments that are already there, the traffic that's already there. The county is building a 4-lane road that comes off of Eastern Valley right beside the interstate and comes out to the hospital. When that's complete, it'll be a lot quicker feeder road that goes out to the interstate and relieve some of the traffic that's in there already. So we just feel like that we're not out in new territory trying to do something that's not been done and that doesn't fit. It's already what we're trying to do is already out there. It's directly across the street. When you stand on this front of this property and look across the street, you can see exactly what we're trying to do. Probably a more quality house than what is across the street, but lot size and lot width is exactly what is already there. So yeah, I'd like for you to consider the fact that Jefferson County, the country as a whole right now has a shortage of housing, and that's causing a lot of prices to go up all around our area and the rest of the country, which, I've got a kid coming out of college and going to get married and go look for a house, and, it's gotten to where now a starter house is $300,000. And, we just feel like there's a need that benefits the community as a whole for new housing in our area to keep it where, or to try to get it back to where people can afford housing, new housing that aren't in an existing house. So we'd like for you to take that into consideration when you make a vote. So I believe that's all. If there's any questions for me.
Any questions, comments from the commission?
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Could you respond to the Article 3 that was presented to us, which states that these regulations are designed to lessen the congestion on the streets?
Yeah, I don't know how new development lessens congestion. If you're going to have a county that grows and develops and grows in population, there's going to be new congestion on the streets. They just kind of come hand in hand. I don't know how you avoid that without growth. You either got to make a decision to have no growth and less congestion, or growth and congestion with, and then with growth comes more property taxes and more money, which gives you money to allow you to come in and fix the congestion and fix the roads.
Let me refer that to our traffic engineer. Is there any plans, future plans or studies regarding the traffic on Lou George Road?
I don't believe I've seen the traffic impact study for this location at this time. Has one been submitted for review?
No, it hasn't.
But when we move to a site development.
Yeah.
And the details.
That's right.
You would.
Yes, sir.
Be required to submit one.
Yes, sir. And we are assuming that we're going to do a left turn lane into the entrance coming from the hospital, to create less stoppage and possible of rear-ending other cars. We're anticipating putting a left turn lane there, along with an acceleration lane on the right side.
Thank you.
Mr. Farmer, I was going to ask you about, what are your plans as far as connecting to sewer?
Sewer's directly across the street. It would just be to bore, that blue line is going through a pump station right there across the street. So we would bore Blue George Loop Road and tie into the existing pump station right there.
You're planning on connecting to the sewer system?
Oh, yes, sir.
Any other comments or questions from the commission?
I had a question. Mr. Farmer, what is the estimated price point for this development?
It would be about a $300,000 price point.
So each house, $300,000?
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right. And just listening to Mr. Turcotte's presentation earlier, would you be opposed to reducing the number of houses that you're built? 'Cause that seems to be the problem, is that you're proposing to build 107 houses.
Right.
Would you be opposed to reducing that number?
Yeah, I mean, we would be willing to look, like we said, economics do come into play in
Right, I
every
understand.
development deal. If it doesn't work economically, then nobody's gonna do it, and obviously the number of units determines the economic feasibility. In this case, and we would be willing to reduce it down to like 100, so if we needed to put some buffer areas, take out the first couple of lots along the entrance right there and create a natural buffer there at the entrance when you're driving down Lee George, maybe right there along the power line, take out a lot on each side of that power line to create a buffer along the power line. And then the same thing back here on George Loop Road, we'd be willing to cut out, like I said, 7 lots or so to get down to, to create some more buffers along the existing roads. Absolutely.
Thank you.
Are there any more questions for the commission? Okay. Opposition, you have 5 minutes left. If you'd like to come to the podium. Yes, sir.
I'm basically in rebuttal because my name was evoked. It's Turcotte, not Burkett, but anyway. That's fine. How do you avoid congestion on a road? You either widen it, provide drivable shoulders. Congestion doesn't mean that too many cars, but this particular development would put, fair estimate, I think, would be 100 to 200 cars a day, 100 to 200 cars per day on a road. As I said, there's nowhere to turn around. And I would also, we've got nothing, there's no one in this neighborhood, and I'm not opposed to bringing new houses, I understand that. I differ with that there's not other places to provide houses. I differ that you can find a different location to put your subdivision on that would not cause this problem, right down from the hospital. I disagree pretty strongly. And I'd also like to say that, economic reasons were mentioned twice, and I saw one of the commission members nodding his head along with it, and I can understand that. That's a consideration. But again, it's not a consideration for rezoning. It's not in your zoning ordinance. Basically, to protect, promote, and improve the public health, the safety, and that's the main reason I'm standing up here, because I think there's going to be some serious safety issues with these continued subdivisions going in. One of them's already been denied for much the same reason I mentioned today. And I hope when we get to the commission, they'll take consideration, just like they did for 29, but also to promote not only public health and safety, the convenience, the morals, the order, the appearance, prosperity, and general welfare. Our concern is not that people are getting new homes here. We're not against people coming to the neighborhood, or these people are not. I'm not either. We're not against that. It's strictly that adding this in, I don't think any of you can sit there and say, this is not going to create a problem. This is not going to create a problem, because I think it will. And you can say many, many things about this, but the one thing you cannot say is you cannot say it wasn't brought to your attention that this road is too narrow, there's no drivable shoulders, it offers too many safety issues. I didn't even mention the other ones. I told you I'm limited to the purpose. So I think that there's a pretty strong reason for denial of this. Health, safety, welfare. Not a dang thing in there about economic or feasible operation. None at all. Thank you.
Hold on, sir. Sir. Any questions from the commission, Mr. Turcotte? Okay. All right, y'all have 3 minutes. If anybody else wants to speak, we have 3 minutes.
Good evening. My name is Ronnie Tillman, and I live on 5062 Fletcher Road. The gentleman mentioned that they're going to build a 4-lane coming to the hospital where the traffic, will take up a lot of the traffic that's coming in. But he failed to mention that that's on the far end of where we are. We're on the backside, which is not going to help us at all. The traffic will still be backed up in our area before we even get up to the hospital with that many cars on the highway. I mean, That's the bottom line. Thank you.
Hold on, has anybody got any questions for Ms. Tillman? See if anybody's got any questions for you.
sorry.
Good to see you back again.
Oh, yes, yes. Just, you know, anytime something is going on in that area, you can expect to see me here.
Has anybody got-
So
There's
just
no
get-
doubt about that.
Just get used to looking at my face.
Has anybody got any questions? Okay, thank you, ma'am, appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Okay. We've got about a minute and a half, yes, sir. State your name and address, please.
My name is Aaron Sizemore. I live at 7138 Lou George Loop, Bessemer, Alabama. And I'm the house just north of the subdivision. The letter that the county showed from the neighborhood group is the neighbor across the street from me. And I was talking about the congestion and no way to get in and out and talking about creating a buffer zone. You can't really see it here because the Wilder Cove sign is over it. That entire top portion is in a curve that's a blind spot. You can't see around it. You can't see, it comes up at a hill and it peaks in that curve where my property and that property meet. You can't see around it. Thank you, sir. Right here. And there have been multiple instances of where me personally and other people entering and exiting the driveways there and coming around that curve. There's been accidents. You can't get out of the way. People speed. And it's dangerous as is. Adding 100 to 200 vehicles and not extending the roads or fixing that problem is not going to do anything but add to that concern. So, thank you.
Any questions, Mr. Sizemore? Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Mr. Farber, would you like to speak? You still have some time if you want to address those concerns.
He's right, there is a curve there, and it is kind of a blind spot, and it might turn out to where the entrance needs to be moved a little further down to get the necessary sight distance when pulling out, or it might be that we need to do some right-of-way clearing in the road, in the right-of-ways over there to open up sight distance. But as you know, after this process, part of the process before you start any construction is that entrance has to have the required safe sight distance for an entrance before you can go out there and clear a tree or do anything. So that issue would be addressed before any construction began. So, the other thing is there's always going to be some kind of problem with every kind of project and every kind of growth, and the question is, can we work together and overcome those problems? But if we don't ever, have any growth, then we're going backwards, in my opinion. So, I would like to take the attitude of, sure, there's going to be problems, but we can address them and deal with them. So, anyway, appreciate your consideration.
Anybody got any more questions for Mr. Farber? At this time, I'd like to call for a motion, please.
Mr. Chair, I make a motion to approve Z-23-003 with the following recommendations. 1, garages must be set back a minimum of 25 feet from the back of the sidewalk or back of the curb if no sidewalk is provided. Number 2, the density shall be limited to 2.4 dwellings per acre. 3, buffer existing active tributaries and/or streams on site leading to Bob George Branch. 4, install a 20-foot buffer to mitigate the effects of a difference in densities between the RZ zone and A1 zone. 5, connecting to public sewer, and preferable and strongly encouraged if within 200 feet of a county sewer main.
I have a motion with,
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed?
Opposed?
Opposed. Can we have a roll call, please, ma'am?
Aye.
No.
Yes.
Oppose?
Yes.
Yes.
Nay.
Yes.
It passed.
Motion carries. Anybody in this case, y'all can't be excused. If there's no, you don't have to wait around for anything. Our next case, hold on, we'll let everybody get out. She's something else.
She said, see you next time.
Can't because it violates all of this. The traffic as it sounds horrific. It is, if you follow it.
Okay, our next case is Z23-0039. The applicant is Lloyd Cummings. Current zoning A1 and C1 in the corner community of Warrior.
Yes, sir. Okay. So, Mr. Chairman, this is the county's zoning map, which shows you that the subject property has 3 zoning classifications. Here in the northeast corner of the site is C1 commercial, and then the middle of the site here is A1, and then to the south and west of the subject property is R1. And again, the applicant's requesting to rezone from these 3 zoning classifications to the A1 zone district to remove split zoning. Property is presently vacant and undeveloped. Proposed land use identifies the property for agricultural as well as rural residential uses. And staff recommends the following. The applicant's proposal is to remove split zoning, as already mentioned, to maintain the A1 zone, use property for residential use. The site abuts single-family dwellings to the north within Blount County, the Blount County jurisdiction. Blount County does not administer zoning regulations. However, there is single-family dwellings to the north. Southeast and west of the subject property are single-family dwellings in the R1 zone in unincorporated Jefferson County. Again, the long-range land use plan identifies this property for rural residential and agricultural. The A1 zone district proposes consistent with this designation, as well as the proposed use. And for these reasons, Mr. Chairman, staff is recommending approval. That's all I have.
Is there any opposition to Z23-0039? Is the applicant here?
Yes.
Would you like to add anything to the presentation, sir?
No.
Are there any questions from the commission? Mr. Cummings? Okay, I'd like to have a motion, please.
Mr. Chair, I make a motion to approve case Z-23-0039.
Second.
I have a motion, a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Our motion carries. Our next case is Z23-0040. Applicant is Jerry Purvey. This is on Galveston Street, Birmingham, Alabama.
Yes, sir. So the aerial photo shows you the subject property. Presently, what's there is a single-family dwelling, which was previously a parsonage owned by Edgewater Baptist Church. They have partitioned off this lot. It was previously one lot, and they're selling it off for private residential use, whereas it was previously a parsonage. This is the county zoning map, which shows you it's presently zoned institutional 1. And the long-range land use, future land use plan identifies this property for P3 and G2, and the proposed use is consistent with the land use plan. This is a photo of a street-level photo of what's on site, which again is a single-family residential dwelling. And staff's recommendation is as follows. The site consists of a house that was previously used as a church parsonage. The lot was approved as Lot 1A of the resurvey of Block 11 of the Edgewater subdivision, Plat B by Jefferson County Planning and Zoning Commission on August 10th, 2023, and recorded in the Office of Probate on November 17th. The rezoning of this single-family residence will bring this property into compliance. The R6 zone allows single-family dwellings. The existing development is consistent with the development patterns in the general surrounding area. For these reasons, Mr. Chairman, staff is recommending approval.
Thanks, sir. Is there any opposition to Z23-0040? Is the applicant here? Have a motion, please.
Mr. Chair, I make a motion to approve case Z-23-0040.
Second.
I have a motion, a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Motion carries. Our next zoning case is Z23-0041. The applicant is Mark Elkins. This is in the Pinson area.
Yes, sir. So the applicant's proposing rezoning from C3 to A1 for residential use at 8895 Old Highway 75 in the Pinson area. Your future land use plan identifies this property for single-family residential. The aerial shows you that the lot is presently vacant and undeveloped. It's presently Zone C3, as you mentioned. And so for the following reasons, staff is recommending approval. The applicant is proposing to rezone the property for residential use on 0.45 acres. Presently, the site is vacant and undeveloped. The applicant's development proposal for residential use is in character with land uses in the general surrounding area. The proposal is consistent with the county's future long-range land use plan. Staff recommends approval.
Is there any opposition to Z23-0041? Is the applicant here? Can I have a motion, please?
Mr. Chair, I make a motion to approve case Z-23-0041.
Second.
I have a motion, a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Our next case is Z23-0042. The applicant is Mark Elkins again, and this is in the Castle Heights Road, Morris, Alabama.
Yes, sir, I'll be brief. This is a similar case to one you just approved. The applicant is requesting rezoning to allow a homestead. This is to bring the existing residential use into compliance. Your future long-range plan identifies this property as rural. This is an aerial which shows you the existing residential dwelling. And so in this aerial is the single-family dwelling. There's also 2 storage sheds and a vacant, dilapidated apartment building, 5-unit apartment building, which I'm told is not currently in use except for storage for the property owner. They say it will not be used as an apartment complex again. If so, then that would change the scenario here. Staff is recommending approval, Mr. Chairman. The site is developed again with a single-family dwelling, 2 sheds, a vacant deteriorating apartment building. The applicant's proposal is consistent with the county's long-range future land use plan. And for those reasons, Mr. Chairman, we're recommending approval.
Is there any opposition to Z23-0042? Yes, sir. Can you come to the podium and speak, please? Would you state your name and address, please, sir?
Yes, sir. Herbert Holcomb Jr., 6150 Cass Lane, Morris, Alabama. It's not much as opposing. It's just I have. Well, first of all, I got this to notice from y'all. The case number was S230079. So I didn't realize this case was being talked about until I saw the graphics up here. So I didn't catch everything that the gentleman had conveyed to me because I thought it was going to be this case number.
Okay, S230079 is a companion case. It will be heard after this one.
Oh, this one right here?
S230079 will be heard after this case we're having right here.
Okay, that's fine. I'll sit back down. I didn't know that, sir.
It's a companion case, but yes, sir, we'll have you up here in just a minute. Any other opposition to Z23-0042? Did Mr. Elkins sneak in while we weren't listed? Okay. Can I have a motion, please?
Mr. Chair, I make a motion to approve case Z-23-0042.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Z-23-0042 is approved and carries. Our next case is a companion case, a subdivision case. It's S-23-0079 with Marilyn Cotton involving the same address on Castle Heights Road in Morris, Alabama.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, this is the companion subdivision case for the property that was just rezoned. Bear with me one moment, please. I'll pull this plat up. The purpose of the subdivision is to resurvey a portion of the existing lot of record into one lot for residential use. This is an old subdivision. It was, here we go, sorry. It's an older subdivision, and a part of that was deeded off improperly. Right here you can see, this is part of the Castle Heights subdivision, Lot 7. So this is a resurvey to bring it into compliance. One lot. It complies with all our A1 zoning requirements, and there's no right-of-way dedication required, no floodplain, and no sewer on this one as well. Staff does recommend approval for this one-lot subdivision.
Thanks, sir. Okay, sir, you come up and talk to us. Opposition to S-23-0079.
Apologize again, sir.
That's
Like I
fine.
said, my hearing is not very good right these days right now, so I'm having a hard time picking up stuff.
You're okay.
And it's like I said, it's not much that I oppose, that I got questions, and I just need clarification. So I understand that this is lot 42, is that correct, sir? This.
Lot 7.
Okay, but what's outlined, that is the property in question?
That's correct.
Okay. And really, all I'm after is just knowing if the reason why they want to reclassify the same from, according to this letter right here, from a C1 to an A1, C1 being commercial, A1 being agricultural, is it because of the taxes, being that the C1 is, taxes are higher than that of the A1, which are lower taxes? If it is, then, I've got no problem with it, providing what the intent of that property is. And that's what I'm not sure about. I've raised this up because of past history with the family. And without going into a lot of detail, we was in 2 civil suits with these folks, property dispute. And short story is, we won the first one, we had to settle out the second one. And consequently, I ended up on a private drive. It's about 300 daggone feet, I guess. My concern is, as long as there's, let me work my questions here. If it's for something that's more than taxes, the question is, you may have answered it, sir. Is the purpose for that is just to have that what I believe to be the daughter that's being deeded this by their folks to just own that property with that house just sitting there, and there's nothing else that's going to be added to that property?
I can't speak to the future use, but the rezoning was to take it from commercial to.
Right, agriculture.
Which is not for commercial use now, so now it's only for residential or agricultural.
Right. What I did, I read the C1, I read the A1, based on past history. Like I said, there's always been a want to put trailers on that property. And I read, I wrote down the sections that I read, C1, A1, and then section 114, referring to A1. And I saw nothing about renting. No, let me take that back. I understand that section 114 as far as that they can't rent anything on that property, like if you was gonna put a trailer there or something like that. But I hadn't found anything about, selling a property, which, my goodness, I understand that because my folks say they deeded property to me and my brother. We paid a fee. we build our houses there. But I guess when you're selling a property, you could put a house or a trailer there.
Yes, so let me, A1 agriculture, I think you've already read it. It says houses and/or mobile homes, farming, livestock, wholesale nursery, or greenhouse, sell of products grown on site, dog kennels with outside runs.
Right. All right, let me see if I can try to get the point. What I want to know from the people who are wanting this approval of this zoning change, if their only purpose is just to change it because of taxes, and just because the parents want to redeed that house to the daughter, and that there is no additional structures that are going to be added to the property, I'm fine with it. But if they do want to add some structures, I'm curious to know what it is. And based on section 114, given a square footage per a structure that you can put this on, is it going to be, would it be just one additional structure based on the fact that there's already a house on the property? Or is there more, or is there, more, or there could be more? Because the way I looked at taking this calculation that's in the section, I think, 15,000 square feet per structure? Well.
600 square feet minimum for a house size.
Huh? Excuse me.
Under A1. We don't know the intentions of the applicant because he's not here.
Right.
We're just concerned with the zoning process, what his intentions are, we don't know.
And I don't know
They
either.
filed this case to bring the property into compliance.
Yeah.
And just to add to it, yes, and you can see that zoning map here, this is the boundary of the property, it was C1, all the surrounding properties.
Right.
Agriculture in this area, this is to bring it in compliance with how they're being used now, and to bring it to the same zoning as everything around it. So anything they can do on this property is the same thing that anybody around there can do.
But as far as you know, there's no, they've mentioned nothing about putting anything, this sounds, what it sounds like because of taxes, the ability to pay taxes, less amount, which I would do. I would do that. But my biggest concern is that there's just gonna be that one house that's there on that property and that there's not gonna be additional, structures where it's another home, or what a lot of us, people that I grew up with that have known these people and dealt with them, trailers. And that's the concern. So.
They would only be able to do things that are allowed in A1, which is adjacent, all the adjacent properties would have the same exact use.
Okay, so A1 can only be one use then, what you're saying?
Well, there's multiple uses, but it's all the things, it's a list, but again, it's compliant, all the same properties around it have the same use restrictions. This is not giving them more rights than anybody.
Right now, it could be a budget tail open 24 hours.
I'm sorry?
Right now, the property could be a budget tail.
Open a
Or
hotel.
a Waffle House.
This is a down zone.
This is the down zone.
Right, I realize that.
More restrictive now.
I realize that. It's just, what I'm concerned about is that it's just gonna be the existing houses there and that there's not gonna be additional things added to the property. And you can't answer that, and
Well, again, anything that they would have to add would have to comply with zoning, which would also require permits.
they would have to notify you.
That's correct.
Okay, that's good enough for me then.
Does anybody have questions? Okay, thank you, sir. Is there any other opposition? I guess again, is the applicant here? May I have a motion, please? On S23-0079.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion for approval of S-23-0079.
I have a motion
Second.
and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Our next case is only case is Z23-0043. Your applicant is Joe Schifano, involving property on Shannon Road in Bessemer.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So this is the last rezoning case for this meeting. As you mentioned, the rezoning request is from A1 RG, single-family garden home, to allow 151, a 151-unit residential subdivision at 1806 Triple H Road and 1757 Shannon Road in the Bessemer area. The county's long-range future land use plan identifies this property as G4 and P3 which is the same as infill growth and suburban zone. The aerial photo shows you that this property is, for the most part, it's vacant. Surrounding this property is the Hoover jurisdiction, where there are existing residential subdivisions. The zoning map shows you two zoning classifications, A1 and R1, and so this would be rezoned to a single zoning classification, RG single family. Currently on site is a barn, a storage facility, and an equestrian arena on 52.34 acres. There's also an existing single-family dwelling on site. This is the applicant's site plan. It shows you the arrangement of the 151 units. It shows you a total of 5 stormwater mitigation ponds. There's also an existing tower site on the property, and there are requirements for that, which I'll highlight in the staff recommendation. And so staff recommends as follows. Again, presently the site consists of a barn, equestrian arena, storage warehouse for equipment, and 1 single-family dwelling. The applicant is proposing to develop the site as a residential garden home subdivision on 52 acres with 151 units. A density of 2.88 dwelling units per acre is proposed, which is less than the RG zone district maximum density requirement of 8.6 dwelling units per acre. The applicant's development proposal also has less density than the adjacent Ross Bridge subdivision in the city of Hoover, which has a zoning classification of PR1 or planned residential 1, and has a density of 3.03 dwelling units per acre. The Hoover residential subdivision is also on sewer. The proposal, this proposal is consistent, the applicant's proposal, is consistent with the county's long-range future land use plan. It's also compatible with land uses in the general surrounding area, and thus staff recommends the following, based upon the following conditions. 1, that the proposed residential garden home subdivision lots shall be set back a minimum of 50 feet from the existing tower site located at parcel ID 3973-6.0, which was permitted conditionally under case Z 1731. Condition number 2, the 30-foot access easement leading to the existing 115-foot monopole tower site be maintained or an alternative route be provided. 3, that sidewalk shall be constructed to connect to the adjacent pedestrian network. And this development, I will just mention, this again does not have to be a condition, but the proposed development here is within 200 feet of an existing county public sewer main. And that's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Is any opposition to Z 23-0043? Yes, sir. Again, one at a time, I'd like to remind you, if you have a spokesperson, that'll be fine. Please.
Scott Cook, 1792 Shannon Road. I was glad to hear staff recommendation for sidewalks. Those of us who kind of been living out there for a while have to go through some of the neighboring neighborhoods to be able to walk safely on sidewalks. Not saying that I'm opposed to it. Development does happen, but now the sidewalks seem to be addressed. My major concern right now is the picture that I showed you right there is I'm standing in the middle of Triple H Ranch Road. The first picture, you can see the rooftops of Ross Bridge. You can see a buffer right there between Triple H Ranch Road and the back of their houses. It's probably a natural area of, I don't know, 25 or 30 feet, give or take, wider, shorter in different places. The other picture, I turned directly toward the development, and you can see probably the fence is probably sitting on the property line. Their development is showing having come up right to the property line with the houses. So basically, you're going to be fronting Triple H and the new subdivision road. So in essence, you're kind of having 2 front yards. We would, and I'm speaking myself and a few few neighbors that we talked, seemed like justifiably there should be a buffer along there, just like there is on Ross Bridge, so they won't use this as like an alley to put their garbage out there and access to the houses, to the backyards. Yeah, thank you. And again, back to the sidewalks okay, all right. Okay, yes, right here you can see the Ross Bridge buffer. Right here is the new development line, property line. So it seemed like a buffer should be put along here, kind of similar to this, so that it does look presentable and just not looking at a privacy fence with people putting their garbage out there for pickup. Because it's not going to be in their front yard. It's going to be behind their house in the road. And of course, the sidewalks, right up in this area on their development plan, there's going to be a detention pond. No, I'm sorry. Yeah, that's showing Shannon Road. That's not Shannon Road. All right, so there's going to be a detention pond right here. I think this is Ross Avenue in Hoover. And so if you put sidewalks in here, it would be just easy to come right alongside that property, this detention pond, up to the property line to intersect the Ross Bridge neighborhood. Kind of curious as to the detention ponds and covenants that may go with protecting those over the years. And also, there you go, okay. Also, when the other developments in the area, such as Ross Bridge, such as a development on Tiger Walk directly across the street, my place here. All right, well, it would be up here, where Triple H meets Shannon Road up here. When the development was put in over here in Birmingham that dumped onto Tiger Walk, the county made the developer improve that road with curb and gutter and also put in a turning lane. There needs to be a de-escalation lane there. There ought to be, when Triple H goes out on Shannon Road, there ought to be a turning lane made to where it turns into this development on the Triple H. Just to get the traffic flowing, keep it flowing, and that's pretty much all I got. I'll shut up so y'all can get on to somebody else. I appreciate y'all's time.
Anybody from the commission have any questions for Mr. Cook?
Mr. Cook, I
Yes,
do.
ma'am.
Would you show me again where you were discussing the buffer, where you thought the buffer should
Yes,
go?
yeah. Let me just, no. Gonna get my spare, okay, all right. Yeah, right. This is Ross Bridge. So the picture you see with the rooftops, these
Yeah.
are the roofs. This is where the new houses are gonna go. So that'll be their front yard, and then it backs up to Triple H, which will also be their front yard. So we need requesting that a buffer be put on this side,
What street is that a street? I can't see.
Triple H Ranch Road, yes.
AAA,
H. Yeah. It does, this kind of mimics over here. So these people have to put their garbage out in front of their house, not behind their house, and just leave the garbage can out there and use it as an alley. Done with me?
I'm done, yeah, I'm sorry.
Okay.
I was on to something else. Thank you so
Any other
much.
comments,
Thank you.
questions for Mr. Cook? Okay. Anybody else want to speak in opposition?
My name is Dale Schaefer. I live on Triple H Ranch Road. And we have 4 other people here, 4 other homes represented. As Scott said, and with the landowner here, we understand development happens. We moved into our home in the year of 2000, and we've been there and, understand that development happens, so that's fine. For us personally, I don't know if we're actually talking to this plan or if it's just the rezoning
Yes, sir.
for-
Just the zoning, for
just
that
the zoning.
situation, yes.
Yeah, because there's an emergency entrance on Shannon Road. The primary entrance is coming down our cul-de-sac into Triple H, which we like living on a cul-de-sac. And we endured the build of Ross Bridge. It was a construction entrance and cars zipping up and down when my kids played in the front yard and trucks throwing dirt all over, but that's a whole other subject. But apart from the density of this, I mean, what was her name? Miss Tillman. I wish she had left because I wanted to employ her real quickly, along with Mr. Turquette. Very much of the same concerns he expressed with regard to density and the number of cars. Coming off Shannon Road would be less because the cars would go up our cul-de-sac if this was proposed and passed, and exit onto Triple H left or right, or excuse me, onto Shannon Road. We would ask that they change the emergency entrance and the primary entrance to the residences to Shannon Road being the primary entrance, Triple H being the emergency entrance. We would strongly recommend that. And beyond that, just the overall density of the houses, the sizes. I think that you mentioned the zoning in Ross Bridge. These, if you look at this plot map opposed to what is across the street from us on Triple H Ranch, the rooftops that Scott was talking about, it appears the lot lines are wider. So it appears that those homes are going to be more densely packed. And there again, no buffer around the development, so it's just going to kind of be, to us, like a big white elephant standing out in this community. So we are concerned about the health safety of the community, the number of cars, the number of homes. And I don't know if there's a way, I don't know zoning, this is the first zoning meeting I've ever been to. And, if there is something, the Ross Bridge zoning that would be compatible with what's right in that area, I would strongly recommend or wish that would happen. Thank you.
Any questions? Mr. Schaefer.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, Andrew, I'm sorry, 1716.
Any questions for Mr. Schaefer?
Oh, no.
Okay. Does anybody else want to speak? Yes, ma'am.
Good afternoon. I'm Dr. Mary Yakimowski. I live at 2339 Abbey Glen Circle. I was suspicious of this because this summer I went outside at 7:15 in the morning, and two guys were in the backyard surveying the information. I want to talk about the density. This is 151 houses on 52 acres. It is too much. We have a one lane, and there's nothing you can do. You can't go back or whatever. Down the road, there's a railroad track. And so when it comes by, it's a long, long line of cars. So something has to be done with the one-lane road. The second key thing is there's no green space. If we have learned anything with COVID and the students, that they need green space. There's no green space because every place you look is going to be a house. They won't even have a yard. The other thing is the students. I don't know which school district it will be a part of, but the school district needs planning time because in these garden homes, because I'm in a garden home, many of them have young children. They need time to plan. This has to be done before something like this is approved. Because I don't know if the school has enough capacity to include these 151 houses, which means probably about 250 cars a day. And finally, we should learn a little bit from Abbey Glen section of Ross Bridge. Abbey Glen is like the foster child of Ross Bridge. It was built by a different developer. We have garden homes, and a whole lot of them are with renters. There has been an increase in police presence. So over time, and I've been there for 5 years, it's drastically changed since when I moved in. So I just wish you could consider all of these things, and the individual mentioned a buffer, or another thing is, the houses to the left of me all have fences. From me on, we don't have a fence, so that I would be looking in their backyard. So if something can help with that, that would help. And that's my comments. Thank you.
Okay. Is there any questions? Okay, thank you, ma'am. Okay, has anybody else got about 5 minutes? Yes, sir. Or yes, ma'am.
Just real quick, my name's Terry Middlebrooks, and I live at
I'm
1720.
sorry, I didn't hear your last name.
Middlebrooks, 1720 Triple H Ranch Road. So that little section up there is my house, and where the red line above that is. I use a driveway to get into my garage and to my barn, and I still have horses. Is that going to affect my horses? And my driveway, that's my biggest concern. It looks like these houses are going to just back right up to my house. So, yep, right there. So I come down Triple H Ranch Road and come around a gravel road that we've been using forever to get back to the garage on my home, and so that is my concern. Is it prescriptive rights? We've been using it, I've been using it for at least 10, and somebody before me has been using it, yeah. So
It's on another piece of property.
Okay, is there any questions, Ms. Middlebrooks?
that's my concern.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, yes, ma'am.
This is Catherine Yates, and I live at 2314 Freestone Ridge Cove in Ross Bridge. Mine are just more questions. I know it's a working ranch, or has been. I have no idea. Are there fuel tanks that are buried? I'm worried about runoff, soil contamination if there's tests, because the elevation of the ranch is above Ross Bridge. So I'm just worried about the safety of the neighborhood and the residents. And then also, my concern is, will there be a natural buffer between the two where we're not just back to back? Those were my questions.
Okay, we'll have Mr. Savano answer those questions.
Perfect. Thank you.
Is there anybody else? Yes, sir.
Yes, I'm Joe Wagner. I live on the corner of Shannon Road and Triple H. Right now, we have our 5 families. I'm going to reiterate what Dale said. We have 5 families on Triple H Ranch Road. It's safe to walk on. Children can play out there. Now they want to open it up to your traffic control engineer.
I am the traffic engineer.
Yes. Now, 300 cars a day going down our road. Why not change that entrance? When you gave the address, you said Shannon Road for the address. Let them open up an entrance to their development on Shannon Road. That will alleviate any traffic from our Triple H Ranch Road.
That is actually in the traffic study. Let me read that to you. The county engineer requires developments with this many homes to have more than one access to meet upcoming fire safety, fire life, and safety requirements. Also, a turning lane will be required on Shannon Road to address the inbound traffic. So that is being considered, yes, sir.
Well, why not consider putting the emergency at the end of Triple H Ranch Road and still have their main entrance off of Shannon Road?
That's an engineer problem. I can't address that.
Who would we need to talk to about that?
I would say, at this time in zoning, none of the decisions shown on that screen are in concrete.
Good enough, good enough.
Yes, I need your address, please.
1851 Shannon Road.
Thank you, sir.
35022.
Okay, there's about 2 minutes left. Anybody else wants to speak for any reason? We just don't be repetitive, but if you have any other concerns, we'd like to hear them. Okay. Mr. Schifano, front and center, please, sir. You've heard the concerns of the residents. We'd like for you to address those, please.
I have, and I'll inform you, I'm Wade Lowry, standing in for Joe Schifano. Joe works
Okay.
for me. I'm with Engineering Design Group. Our office address is 120 Bishop Circle in Pelham. Yes, so I've taken a lot of notes, and I think that a lot of the questions and concerns can be addressed by just a conversation to let folks know that we have taken into account a lot of their concerns. First, Mr. Cook, and if I get the names wrong, I'm sorry, I'm trying to address everybody properly. Sidewalks, the development will contain sidewalks along the streets within the development. There is a stipulation by staff that we should connect the sidewalk network in the development we're talking about into the adjacent public walking space. While I don't disagree with connectivity and walkable communities, we are prevented from doing that because there are private properties between our development and the adjacent sidewalk network within Ross Bridge. It's U.S. Steel property that, you know, it would be a conversation, but the likelihood of that being granted by U.S. Steel is unlikely. But the development will have sidewalks. So to address that. The mention of a buffer along Triple H Ranch Road, I'm going to try to use the pointer right here. So it's correct, the lots that are shown here shaded back on the north side of Triple H Ranch is Ross Bridge. And you'll notice that those lot lines of those individual homes stretch all the way to the right-of-way of Triple H Ranch Road, okay? Our proposed development does the exact same thing. This dark line along the south side of Triple H Ranch is the right-of-way of the road, and our proposed lot lines stretch all the way to the right-of-way, right? If you go to an aerial photo, you'll notice, yeah, there is probably some green space behind these houses, but that is green space and trees that are within the right-of-way of Triple H Ranch Road. On the south side of Triple H Ranch Road, we don't have a condition like that. It's cleared, okay? So I don't think that there would be an issue with us providing some sort of buffer, you know, along the rear of these lots between the backyard of the home and their lot line, which will be the right-of-way line of Triple H Ranch Road.
What kind of buffer are you speaking of?
Well, you know, I can't stand here and say that it would be some kind of undisturbed buffer because we haven't performed our civil engineering design yet. But you know, a fence, a planted buffer, you know, from the extent of the grading of the lot to that property line, you know, our client wants to be a good neighbor to everybody, and a buffer is not that big of a problem. I just can't say today that it would be something that's undisturbed or replanted or fenced. And I really couldn't tell you, I don't want to promise a width of a buffer yet. It's just simply because we haven't dove that deep into a design yet. But I can say with good faith that we could offer something like that when the time comes. Excuse me. Detention pond maintenance. So yes, there's right now, there are 5 ponds shown on our plan, and at the end of all things, there could be more or there could be less. Maintenance of those detention ponds would be the sole responsibility of the neighborhood and their HOA. That would be written into and recorded in a covenant document. That's typically how that's taken care of. A turn lane. Yes, there will be a turn lane added from my discussions with staff at the intersection of Triple H Ranch Road and Shannon Road. It would be a southbound left turn lane to allow turning movements to get out of the way of continuing traffic. We have a traffic study with us that states we wouldn't need that. It wouldn't be warranted, but we understand the concerns of the county and surrounding citizens, and we can say that will be added to the project. Triple H Ranch Road itself, I don't know that it's fair to say is a substandard road that doesn't meet county requirements, but it will be improved to a full 24-foot wide asphalt paved road with either like a valley gutter or soft edge pavement, something like that, but it would be improved to accommodate the traffic that utilized it. Let's see. Density, so yeah, Density is an item here. The allowable density of a zoning like this is something on the order of 8 point something units per acre, and we are at 2.4, I believe, when you get down to the numbers. Ross Bridge actually is a higher density development than this project. And the homes, while the lots may be different in size, there are differing sizes of lots within Ross Bridge. So as far as density goes, you know, I've said this before this body before, we've done everything we can, short of performing a civil engineering design on the site, to show what a site plan could look like and how many units we could possibly fit into the development. At the end of the day, will there be 151? Maybe not. By the time we grade and drain everything, would there be more than 151? Probably not. You know what I mean? I can't, you know, exactly 151 lots today, I can't guarantee that that would be the number, but I don't think it would be any higher for sure. Green space, actually, so I would say that about 30% of the land will be left undisturbed. We've purposely not shown any lots here, as this is a draw, a significant draw, and I believe contains a jurisdictional water, a stream there. So we're staying away from that. I think there was a small, maybe piece of a wetland on this part of the development, on the land, and we're staying away from that. So everywhere you see this leftover topography that's here, you know, theoretically will remain undisturbed. School district, this would be a McAdory neighborhood served by McAdory School System. Let's see. Soil contamination, runoff, those things, that we have a phase 1 environmental report on the project. The consultant found nothing of note that was hazardous. There are some old buried construction materials where it looks like a pond may have been filled in at some point in the life of the property, but certainly no underground fuel tanks or anything like that of note in their report. Let's see. Right, sewer, thank you. So just to the south of the property is another garden home development. And we worked with the Environmental Services Department, and they provided us some really good as-built drawing information of the sewer infrastructure that is there. Someone back a long time ago had the foresight to designate a sewer easement all the way to the boundary of this property. Actually, you can see it right there at the bottom of this view on the map. That's an easement specifically for sanitary sewer. So the development will tie to the county's sewer infrastructure. What did I leave out? Oh, Ms. Middlebrook, your driveway. Yes, ma'am. So we will definitely work with you on configuration of a driveway and making sure that access to your property remains. That we wouldn't, you know, we would not want to, we're not able to cut off your access to your property or anything like that. I'd be glad to speak with you about that. That's not a non-issue. And then, of course, you know, this is a zoning case. There are months of design work to go forward with if it should gain approval here and then approval by the commission. So there's a lot of work to be done. Any questions? I'll try to answer.
Any questions? Yes, ma'am.
Just one question. The turning lane is that off of a left turn off of Clydette Lane onto Shannon?
No, ma'am. It would be a left turn lane. Let me aerial, yeah.
Triple H Ranch?
It would be added within Shannon Road. Go back one. Right there. That's fine right there. Yeah. So Triple H Ranch Road is here, right?
Mm-hmm.
Shannon Road obviously is there. So Triple H intersects at a four-way with, I think that's Tiger Walk right there. So a left turn lane would be added in Shannon Road for left turning movements into Triple H Ranch Road. And I know, we talked about can the emergency access be on Triple H and the full access be on Shannon? Well, the property does come out to Shannon Road here, but there is not sufficient sight distance right there for a main access, I do not believe. We have looked into that. So essentially, Triple H Ranch Road will be reconstructed to county standard as part of our project. That's the idea for now, yes. Anyway, is that helpful?
Thank you, yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Anybody else got any questions?
Mr. Chair, so do we add this as part of our stipulation? The buffer and the turning lane?
Yes, the turning lane's already in there, but buffer, absolutely, yes, and he said they would do. Yes, ma'am. Who's your fire protection with?
I think that is actually McAdory Fire, I think down that way.
Sir? Yeah, Hoover surrounded it, but yeah, that's.
Right.
Oh, I see.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
I think I heard you say that you would not be restricted to 151 units, or you possibly could have more.
Well, I'm gonna go back to my site plan if I can navigate properly. Nope, other way. Right there, right. I can confidently say there would not be more than 151 lots. And I can also, I won't say confidently, but there may not be as many as 151 by the time we finish our full civil design. Yes, ma'am.
Are there any more questions?
I do, I'm sorry, I have one question. Do you know what the estimated price point of these homes will be?
Ooh, that is not my area of expertise, but there is someone here who could answer that. You know a price point?
You come to the podium and state your names, please, sir.
Hello, my name is Mason Lake, 2504 Huntington Park Court, Birmingham, Alabama, 35226. And we would target to build some, really beautiful, high-value homes. We think that we would probably be in the high threes to somewhere in the $400,000 range.
Okay, so high threes to 400,000. Okay, thank you, sir.
One more question.
Okay.
Yeah, one more question.
One question for Mr. Brown. So I heard that the sidewalks could not connect to the pedestrian network. So how would you alter that recommendation?
Andrew, do you have a suggestion?
Requiring sidewalks to be built within the actual development itself.
I deferred to Andrew because sidewalks are more of a consideration for subdivisions as opposed to rezoning. I don't know if you heard him, but he said as long as they're willing to do interconnectivity within the subdivision, then just exclude connectivity to sidewalks outside of the proposed subdivision.
Thank you.
Mr. Cook, yes, sir, you come on. You got about 2 minutes, or less than 2 minutes.
That's fine. And I understand the connectivity on the sidewalks. All right, so so yes, in the development, what we're proposing is that sidewalk running along the detention line up to that property line. Okay? You've got probably about 5 feet of U.S. Steel property before you hit the the Hoover City right-of-way with Ross Bridge. So take it up to that property line. We'll deal with connecting the other 5 feet or whatever. And the other thing is the buffer. I think when you look at the buffer behind the homes in Ross Bridge, I believe there is a common area owned by the association. So, could be mistaken, but I think I'm right there.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any more questions from the commission? This time I'll call for a motion to Z23-0043.
Mr. Chair, I make a motion to approve case Z-23-0043 with the following stipulations. 1, proposed residential garden home subdivision lots shall be set back a minimum of 50 feet from the existing tower site located on parcel ID 39-07-3-000-006, permitted conditionally under case Z-17-031. Condition 2, the 30 feet access easement leading to the existing 115 feet monopole tower site on parcel ID 39-000-73-000-006011 shall be maintained, or an alternative route shall be provided. Recommendation 3, sidewalks shall be constructed within the development. Number 4, buffer shall be designed and constructed along the homes on Triple H Range Road.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second. I'm sorry.
I have a motion, a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. This adjourns our meeting for today. Thank you.
Oh, you got two more things on the agenda.
Oh, that's right. We got other things, yeah. This adjourns the Planning Zoning Commission meeting, yeah.
Public hearing.
Public hearing.
Get out here too.
All right, so yeah, the last item is the adoption of the regulations regarding the MX PUD district. I'll be glad to discuss that, or.
If we can get everyone to take the conversations out, we appreciate it. We have some additional business we've got to handle today. Thanks.
And again, just to reiterate what we said in the pre-meeting, this is just to allow for the creation of a dense, compact, urban infill sort of district, where we have mix of uses within